is oral sex a sin within marriage? So there's a lot of different theories and beliefs about this. So I want to ask a few questions to that. One, does the Bible prohibit oral sex between a husband and wife? Well, nowhere in the New Testament will you find a scripture that prohibits oral sex between a husband and wife. Now, the second argument that's used to condemn oral sex between a husband and wife is the belief that oral sex is a sin of sodomy. That argument is completely false. Now, I can see why some would believe it. After all, in contemporary and non-biblical usage, the term sodomy does refer to oral and anal sex. And that term sodomy is derived from Genesis 19. However, the word sodomy itself is not in the Bible. And if the word sodomy was in the Bible and based off of the sense of Genesis 19, that definition of sodomy would have to be the desire to have forcible anal rape with men. Because in Genesis 19, the men of Sodom desired forcible anal rape with men, which were actually angels that were sent to rescue Lot and his family. So that story in Genesis 19 and any other story in the Bible dealing with Sodom, the Sodomites, Sodom and Gomorrah, has absolutely nothing to do with oral sex. Therefore, you cannot use the word sodomy as a way to condemn oral sex between a husband and wife. That's just not accurate. And the second argument that I always see is this, that oral sex is unnatural because God did not design the penis to go in the mouth of a woman, nor did God design the vagina to go in the mouth of a man, because it does not lead to procreation. And this is my rebuttal to that. There are sexual things that you can do in the bedroom that the Bible gives the okay to that do not lead to procreation. For example, let's look at the breast. The breast, we know, is designed for breastfeeding babies. Yet we see the Bible allowing the breast to be used for the pleasure of a man. You don't believe me? Let's read it. Proverbs 5:19 says this, "Let her breast fill you at all times." And then Song of Solomon chapter 7 verses 7 through 8 says this, "Your breasts are like its clusters. I say it will climb the palm tree and lay hold of its fruit. Oh, may your breasts be like the clusters of the vine." So if the Bible gives okay to that, even though it does not lead to procreation, that would also cancel out the other argument that says it's unnatural because it does not lead to procreation. Therefore, we can draw to this conclusion. Oral sex is not unnatural. The next part, does oral sex take place in the Bible? Now, I want to read you a couple of verses. Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 3 says this, "Like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my beloved, among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste." Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verses 16 says this, "Awake north wind and come south wind, blow upon my garden, that its fragrance may spread everywhere. Let my beloved come into his garden and taste its choice fruits." That's a pretty deep verse right there. So here's the thing. We don't know exactly what the author was saying because we're not in his or her mind. However, we can definitely we can kind of guess what's being implied here. It almost seems as if that scripture, those verses, are a veiled way of implying that oral sex is taking place. Most scholars and theologians would agree with that. However, we can't say for certain, but it seems that there's a chance that it may. Now, let's review those 4 things. First, the Bible does not prohibit oral sex between a husband and wife. Secondly, there's no connection between oral sex and sodomy. Third, oral sex is not unnatural. And fourth, it may or may not be in Scripture. So, in conclusion, if the Bible does not prohibit it and all the other things I listed, then that must mean what? That oral sex is perfectly fine within marriage. Now, you may not feel comfortable doing it. Your spouse may not feel comfortable doing it. That's between you guys, but Scripture does not forbid it. And I am a firm believer that if a husband and wife want to partake in oral sex, they may do as they please. I hope today helped you out. For any other questions, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and order a copy of #1 best-selling book, Christian Sex Ed. It's at the link in my bio. God bless you, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.